Okay, welcome back. That's mainly to me because it's been 3 weeks, a month since I've been back here. I was on a big trip, but first, before I get into all that, welcome back also to you. If you have been here before, thank you for coming back. If you are new, my name is Kelly. I'm a mama of 2 crazy people, and I am a quilt pattern designer, and I'm just generally fiber obsessed. This is a channel where I mostly talk about my knitting with a little dash of quilting, and I am fully a type B person. You know, like in contrast to a type A person, I am not type A. I am fully type B, but I make up for that with a lot of enthusiasm. So if you're into that, please like this video. It is a big help for really any video you watch on YouTube to just give it a like. And then if you are enjoying this so far, or you think you might, subscribe. Or give it a minute, watch it some, and if you like it, subscribe. All right, let's get into it. So I am going to timestamp everything. Basically, I'm going to go with a little life catch-up in the beginning. I just went on a 2-week-long vacation with my family, and so I'm going to catch you up on a little of that. There's some yarn shops involved. I didn't take any pictures, but I do have yarn. And then I'm going to get into just like a normal episode, finished objects, whips, and things I'm gonna cast on and things I want to, but probably won't. So yeah, watch whatever. You can watch the whole thing. I'll timestamp it. You can watch whatever you want. You do you. Oh, and what am I wearing? I am wearing the frame sweater by Andrea Mowry. I've talked about this in past episodes, so that's all I'll really say about it. Yeah. So life catch up. I'll put up some pictures as I'm talking, whatever pictures I have. But we were kind of really in it and just enjoying it, and I didn't pick up my phone a lot. So, and I brought my camera, and I didn't take a single picture on my camera. So I'm kind of like, I feel good that I was like in the moment, but also I kind of like, wish I had more pictures. Yeah, so we drove up. We live in the mountains of North Carolina, so we drove up to Pennsylvania where my mom lives, and we spent a couple days there. It was great. She lives in the Poconos, and that's a mountainous area in Pennsylvania. We just kind of relaxed. The girls were stoked to be with their yaya. And then Ryan and I pieced out and went to Portland, Maine. And we got to spend 5 nights by ourselves. And we stayed in this amazing Airbnb. It's like it was like a little private apartment off the side of this people's like cabin that was on the water in an inlet in Freeport, which is like about a half hour north of Portland. There was a sauna involved. It was just delightful. Honestly, we didn't take advantage of Portland very often. We're realizing we're not city people. I mean, we knew we were never city people, but like we used to live in Missoula, Montana, which is a small city. But we're really not even small city people anymore. We really like the things that we did outdoors there. We did lots of walks and just enjoyed the snow because they got lots of snow while we were up there. We did go into the city. We ate at Duckfat, which if you're ever in Portland, do that. We also ate, what was the other? It was like, it's a clam. No, sorry. It's an oyster place. It's an oyster bar. But I'm forgetting the name. I'll put it up on the screen because I'll look it up after this. But that was wonderful as well. But that was really all the eating out we did. After that, we even got a little lobster to make some lobster tacos at home. And we just kind of cooked at home. And it was great. I also went to a couple of knit stores. I went to Port Fiber and I got nightshades. Or my husband picked this out. I don't know if you can see it, but it almost kind of looks camo-y, like a camo color, because it's black, like a blackish blue, but it has this like greenish tint to it, like little specks of green throughout. I got that at Port Fiber, and Port Fiber is just a wonderful little store. And then I also went to Knitwit, and I didn't really get anything at Knitwit. I did get a new needle gauge because mine broke, and a ruler. It was a Cocoa Knits one. But that is also a cute store. And they have a lot more superwash if you're into that. They have some local stuff. So definitely go check them out. I did not take a photo of either of the store. I was like planning in my head, like I'm going to take a little video when I walk into the stores. Like it just all literally just went out the window. I just walked into the store and I enjoyed it, which I'm happy for me. Yay. But I don't have anything to share. We also went up to Littleton, New Hampshire. My husband is a brewer, and he works at Funaflora here in North Carolina, and they are doing a collab beer with Chilling up in Littleton, New Hampshire. So he spent the morning doing that, and I went to another yarn store. I went on a walk with our dog Waylon, and I went to another yarn store in Bethlehem, New Hampshire called LYS, which is cute, but it's, I think, Love Yarn Store, I think is what it's called, but it's LYS. Anyway, super tiny little store, really great. I walked in and there were like multiple people. It's very tiny, but there were like sitting area right in the middle of the store. And there were multiple people sitting there knitting and talking. And the owner was really kind and helpful. And I ended up getting some piece fleece. It says it's a sport DK. I don't know if this is the 4-ounce. They only make this in a 50-gram skein anymore. But I got this Antarctica white, and then I got picnic stone is the other color. I'll talk about this later because I'm using it for picnic rock. I was close. Is the other color, and it's this kind of like brownish gray. And I will tell you later what I'm going to do with that. Okay, so that was our time Ryan and I's time in Portland and a little bit of New Hampshire, and it was glorious. I don't know if I mentioned this, but it was our first vacation. Really, we've gone camping once by ourselves. We go camping all the time with kids, but we've gone camping once by ourselves. But besides that, that's our first vacation by ourselves in almost 7 years since having our oldest daughter. She'll be 7 in June. So, it's been a minute, and it was so nice. And we got to talk without getting interrupted. We got to sleep in without getting woken up. Like, we got to just like live life, and we missed our kids every moment, of course. But it was really nice. Then we drove to Lake Placid, New York, where my mom and our kids and my brother and his wife met us, and we celebrated my mom's 60th birthday there. We did lots of cross-country skiing. We did some downhill skiing. My youngest is about to turn 4 in April, so she got on downhill skis for the first time. My oldest, she's done it before, but it's been a while. It was when we lived in Montana. And so they got to downhill ski. My youngest liked it, but she's 3, so my oldest just was really obsessed with it. She was stoked and really just wanted to point her skis down the hill and just go, which my dad would have loved. He passed away when I was 16, and we went to Lake Placid with him a lot. So that was one of the reasons that we went to Lake Placid for this trip. But he taught me how to ski by telling me to point my tips downhill and just go. So he would have loved that. My daughter just wanted the speed. And yeah, so that got to cross-country ski. Also, my youngest's first time cross-country skiing. My oldest first time in a while. She has done it. And she also, she did like a 3-mile loop, almost a 3-mile loop twice, like kept up with the adults. She is impressive. So yeah, it was just a blast. We brought a fun cake for my mom from Portland, and yeah, it was just a good time all together. So that's basically it for life updates. Then we went back to my mom's house, took a day, and then drove all the way back down here. I'm done with driving for a little while, which is saying a lot for me. I love road trips, and I'm good. on the driving. Oh yeah, and then but right before we left, Black Mountain Yarn Store, which is my local yarn store, had a maker's dinner to celebrate their anniversary. And so a friend of mine and I went to that. I really don't have any pictures from that either. I was like, maybe I'll video no, I didn't. But it was great and I had fun. And if you're ever in the area, you should definitely go there. If not, and you don't have a good yarn store around you, they have pretty much everything online, and they have some fabric from Merchant and Mills as well. So give them a look. All right, let's get into finished objects. My first finished object is my roddin mitts, and these, okay, I made these for this trip, and they were heavily used. I mean, they're already a little bit. So these are a fold down mitt. Here, I'll just put them on. They're already a little bit felted. Which is fine. I'm good with that. These were meant to be used. And I was holding ski poles and it was wet. So, that's what's going to happen. But, so they're meant to be folded down, but then you can flip them up when you need to. And my hands stay very, very warm when I'm outside. So this is what they look like. I'm hoping you're seeing them. Yeah, my hands stay very warm outside, even in very cold weather. It was close to 0 degrees when we were in Lake Placid and doing some of our cross-country skiing, and I wore these. And I just flipped them down, and at some points I flipped them back up. I don't know what it is about my hands, but that's why I wanted to make these ones. They had that little, I mean, you could adjust any pattern, but I like the look of these. And I wasn't sure how much I would use the cuff, but I did use it a lot. And yeah, you can see on the inside, it's kind of just a little bit of felting there compared to back here. But that's all right. That means they were used. These are fantastic. I made this, so these were a whip on my last video, but I will catch you up on the deets. These are by ysolda teague. I made a size small because of the thicker yarn. This is a worsted weight yarn, and I think it called for DK. The yarn is Harrisville Highland 80 foliage, which, if you are noticing, matches my sweater. I had a whole skein left over after making the frame sweater. I just have usually I have yarn left over after making things. I don't know what it is about me. Maybe I'm just make things shorter than what people, I don't know. Anyway, I had a whole skein of yarn left over of this, and so this is what I did with it. I can't remember what the pattern calls for, but I know I used smaller needles. I used a size US 0 or 2mm for the cuff down here. It's a 1x1 rib, and then you switch into a 2x2 rib for the rest of it, and that was knit on a US 4 or a 3.5mm. This pattern was fantastic. I loved it. For just a basic fingerless mitt, this is my thing. This is my go-to. If I didn't use it for such cold weather, I don't think that the cuff up here would be necessary. It does feel a little bit bulky, but so I might make one in the future without the cuff just for days where I'm not going cross-country skiing in 0-degree weather. But yeah, it's useful for that. So yeah, I might make it again without the cuff because it is kind of, I don't know, it feels bulky to me. But it was useful, and I'm glad that I made it with it. Yeah, definitely glad that this pattern is in my pattern stash. I don't know what you would call it. The thumb shaping is fun. You do make a left and a right mitten with these because the shaping is meant to go on the palm of your hand. But I mean, I think it feels just as comfortable on the top of your hand. So you could wear them on either hand. So that's that. My first finished object. My second is one I talked about knitting last time, but I hadn't cast on. And you'll have to excuse me because I have worn these. I've worn them in boots. And so I think the back of them have felted just a little bit. But these are my oxbow socks. and you'll have to excuse it because there is dog hair in them. I washed them. I just blocked them and washed them, but I dog sit, and so typically we have 3 dogs in the house at one time, and that's just my life. So one of them does seem to be a little bit smaller than the other. See that? I don't know if I'm holding this correctly. This is like a little bit smaller. Anyway, I loved this pattern. I made size 3. I think that might be the adult medium. Don't quote me on that. On a US 1 or 2.25 millimeter. I made it with Le Garcon 4-ply, the British 4-ply. They have a sock yarn, but I wanted to see, this is not the sock yarn. I wanted to see if the blue-faced Leicester, the BFL in it would, I think Masham, because it's a BFL Masham mix, and I think Masham is also a longer staple length. Anyway, I wanted to see if that would make a more durable sock. So, TBD, I'll let you know. Yeah, it has felted a little bit, which I am perfectly fine with. I do not mind if my socks felt a little bit, and I made them a little bit bigger so that they could felt. It just makes them stronger, and I'm fine with that. I really want my socks to wear as long as possible, and from what I understand, felting helps a natural sock stay durable longer. So felt away. The stitch pattern in this is so fun. Like it's a 4-row repeat stitch pattern basically, and it's kind of like a broken rib. If you can see, like when you pull it apart, you can see it runs in a straight line. Anyway, it was super fun to knit. So this is what I knit on basically our whole trip. I really thought I had such high expectations. I don't know if you do this, but whenever I go on a trip, I bring like 80 books and notebooks and like all the things. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it all. Well, I didn't read one book. I never wrote in my notebook. Not once. Didn't have, I could have, but I didn't. I did knit, but not as much as I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to start a sweater and do this, and I was like, maybe I'll be done with both by the time. No. Just, it happens to me every time. But I did finish a pair of socks, and in 2 weeks, and while also being on a trip and doing other things. So hooray for me. That's all I say. But this, yeah, so this is what I only knit on this during our project or during our trip, and it was so fun. Oh yeah, just for you to know, I knit the ribbing slightly longer, this beginning ribbing up here, slightly longer than the pattern calls for. I have a US women's 8 size foot. So, you know, I did a size 3. I probably knit it shorter than, I must have knit it shorter than what they expected or what Andrea expected, because I have a little over 50 grams of yarn left. Like I only used less than half the skein of yarn. I could make a whole nother pair of socks. I'm not going to, but I could. Which is what I'm saying. I always have yarn left. So yeah, love this. We'll definitely make this again. And it has gotten, I've made socks before, but not in a long time. And it has like started the mojo for sock knitting. I love having a small project and one that's so usable. I want more socks. I'm not going to knit another pair of oxbow socks right away, but I would love a more simple pair of socks to knit, one that's like very brainless, because I did have to reference the pattern. You can kind of memorize it, but it does change at a couple different points in the pattern, so you kind of have to remember what you're doing. I love a pair of socks that you literally don't have to think about at all. So that's that. And my third finished object, I will put photos up of, is my prairie fire quilt, which is by me. I finished it. I hope by the time that this video comes out, it will be published. If not, then in a couple days. The hardest thing in this pattern is the half square triangles, and I walk you through every little baby step of the way. Like, I handhold. If you don't need hand holding, you're good. But if you do need hand holding, I like to make all my patterns very accessible for beginners. And so if you are a baby beginner to quilting, you can do this. And so if you've ever thought about quilting, or you're newly into quilting, or you're just a quilter and you're looking for another pattern, here's my prairie fire quilt. It's inspired by the flower, prairie fire, or it's also known as paintbrush or Indian paintbrush. I designed it for my daughter. It's her quilt. But then I figured I would create a pattern for it. So that is live now, and I will link to that. It was super fun to make. I love the colors. I think my sweet spot when it comes to design is kind of just like simple but beautiful. I like a quilt that like really is like, whoa, that's fun. But in construction, it's pretty simple. Quilts can get so, just like knitting, can get so technical and so intense and little baby pieces. And that's just not my thing. So if you like the sound of that, that is now available. Let's jump into whips. I only have one. I have ones that I'm about to start, but I only have one going, and it's the Monday sweater by petiteknit. Let me grab it. Okay, so I have basically just cast on for it. It's just a basic raglan sweater, but I got that piece fleece yarn at the LYS store in Bethlehem, New Hampshire, and I had always wanted to knit with piece fleece. It's the yarn is a combination of rambouillet raised on Navajo reservations and other U.S. fine wool. I think that's a combo, and then it's 75% that, 25% mohair, I think is the, yes. 75% Navajo rambouillet and domestic fine wool, 25% mohair. This one's the DK Sport weight, 4 ounces, 350 yards. And I saw these colors and I just wanted them. And so I bought them. I was just trying to figure out a pattern to make with that, and the Monday sweater was on my list. I want just a basic sweater, just like a basic throw on, looks nice, but nothing too much going on sweater. And the Monday sweater was it, and so I'm putting stripes in. I only have so much, so you guys are going to be along for the ride when it comes to this yarn ticket that I'm playing, but I always have yarn left over, and I would like to make this cropped, and I'm already a very short person. So I think I can do it. Cheer me on. The main color is going to be this Antarctica white, and then the striped color is going to be the picnic rock. That's what we said. Anyway, so I have started it. I'm doing size 2. And just so you know, my measurements, my upper bust is 35, I think, 35 inches. But my full bust is 37. My waist is 30 inches. And my hips are 42 inches. So I chose a size 2. I think based off of her recommendations, I should be a size 3. But this had a lot of positive ease to it. And I didn't want that much positive ease. So I went with a size 2. Hope you can see. I've heard so many good things about this yarn. Apparently it blooms really wonderfully and softens up a lot, which I'm not super sensitive to woolly wools. So you start out and you make this fold down collar, and she walks you through how to knit the collar down, which I've never done before. So you don't tack it down afterwards. It's part of the whole process, which was fun. That was a fun thing to do. And now then you work short rows on the back. And now I'm into just raglan increases for a long time. And I don't know how big I'm going to make the stripes. I've started one of the stripes. I think they're going to be fairly chunky, just to get the yarn to like spread out more. But I'm not planning this out, so it could get a little chaotic. I'm switching the yarn. The beginning of round is at the back of the sweater, but I'm switching the yarn under one of the arms, so it's just less visible. So yeah, that's that. I'm knitting it on a US 4 for the ribbing, or 3.5 millimeter, US 6 or 4 millimeter for the body. And I am extremely excited about this because, oh, one of the other things I didn't tell you. So if you are ever in Portland, we're going back there. We're going back to that part of the story. If you are ever in Portland or in Freeport, north of Portland, and you like Patagonia, there is a Patagonia outlet in Freeport. And sometimes, with that kind of stuff, you're like, yeah, how good are, like, these are like just normal prices, but you're calling it outlet. Dude, I got 2 pairs of pants there. Ryan got a new down jacket, and we got a down jacket for my mom because she was looking for one, and the prices were really good. I got a pair of organic cotton fair trade jeans for $40. Then I got a pair of fair trade cotton or organic cotton fair trade corduroy pants. They're like a brownish, golden brown color for $60. And I'm excited to wear this sweater with that. That's what made me think of that. But yeah, sorry, my daughter needed something. Anyway, we got down jackets for like over half off. It was crazy. So we are big fans of Patagonia, just ethically. And so we will be making the pilgrimage back there. And if you are ever in the area and you also like Patagonia, I highly recommend that store. When we lived in Montana, there's a Patagonia outlet in Dillon, Montana, which is like 3 hours from Missoula. And that was also a great store. The prices were a little bit better in Portland. So just so you know, you might want to try that. And I get headaches when I shop. I'm not a shopping person, but we kind of were like, we kind of have to do this. We have to go see if it's worthwhile. And then we went back a second time because we were like, okay, it was worthwhile. Now we have to go again. So it was kind of one of those things where we were like, this just makes sense and we need to go do this, because we don't buy clothes like ever. We don't ever buy clothes. We wear things out, is my point. So for us to be like, this is worth it, it really was worth it. Okay, so that was my only whip. That was it. But I have plenty of impending cast-ons, so let me tell you about them. My first impending cast-on are the Easy Peasy Knitted Gloves by Propibel. I don't know how to say it, but here you go. These are fingerless fingerless gloves, excuse me, that my husband wants for like when he is out and he's fishing or whatever. And that is what I'm going to use the Harrisville's Nightshades for. This is a DK weight yarn. Pattern calls for DK weight yarn. So we're doing good there. And I got 2 skeins of this. I'm going to make a hat, just a easy ribbed hat, I think by Pro Soho is what it's called, for him as well, just to match. That's on the list. So I'm going to make that. I'm going to cast that on next, just because it's going to be an easy, quick thing to do. And he still might use them in this season. So the second thing that I want to make is the Mara scarf by Audrey Borrego. I don't know if you've seen, but Audrey, she is a great knitwear designer based out of France. And a lot of her stuff are very like they're so beautiful, and I look at them all the time, but they're very texture oriented. And I tend to go for more like color work oriented things. But she has such beautiful designs, and she is no longer I don't know what she's doing, but she no longer wants to be a knitwear designer. And so she's put all of her patterns for free on Ravelry. They're just going to stay up for free. So you should just go look regardless, but especially if you like lace type of stuff, go look, because she has excellent, like just beautiful patterns. This scarf is one of the ones that I've wanted to make for a long time, and I'm going to use the rest of my Le Garçon yarn, this yarn, to make this scarf. So that's going on after I finish the mittens. And then a fun little thing, I'm going to make a kirby-wirby by Heliina Mowry. I'm going to make this for my daughter, my youngest, Rowan's fourth birthday, and that's at the end of April. So I've got a little time for that. And this seems like a fairly straightforward thing. But I showed her a bunch of like little stuffy patterns, and this is the one that she chose. So I'm going with it. And I've actually had this saved for a while. I've wanted to make this for a while. So I'm excited to get to make it. That's it for impending cast-ons. But I have some want to but won't yet knitting patterns, ones that I want to knit but I won't. Not yet. The first one is the White Russian by Thea Coleman. Now, if you watched my last video, this was on my impending cast-ons. And I had this all caked up, ready to go, but then I bought the Peace Fleece yarn, and I had to start knitting that yarn. I just had to do it. So the White Russian got put to the side, but I have the yarn still all ready and caked up for it. I just have some other things that I need to knit first. So the next sweater that I knit will be the White Russian. Don't hold me to it, but I hope so. Another want to but won't yet would be the DRK Everyday Socks. I think I would really love, like I said before, I want like a really simple sock. This is a rib sock, so it's not just stockinette all the way through. But I think I would really like the way that the socks like kind of like fit to your feet. It is a toe-up sock, which I've never done before, but we should try new things, right? So I think this is in my maybe not immediate future, but like soon. I think the next time I start a sock, it'll probably be that one. And that is it. I would love to know, what are you making? And do you have any want to but won't yet patterns? Yeah, I would just love to hear from you and see what you guys are up to. And I really do love to hear that. I love your comments. If you got all the way here, you might like my other videos. So it would mean so much if you would like this video and then subscribe so we get to hang out more. I would love to hang out with you. I just hope you guys have a great week. Keep making things. It makes the world even more beautiful, and Lord knows we need that right now.